And this is how we're going over here. I'm gonna put one more strip going across and then tee off just like that one. So that way the wood will then roll off. I'll probably put a little piece that goes diagonally across, like over there. A little piece diagonally across, so that way it'll give it like a little bit of a beam. If people step on it, it won't crunch it down. All right, so pretty much finished leveling off this back end right here. Just gonna put a couple of pavers there, so that way you step on it, it won't do anything. Give it a nice, and if it gets wet or nothing like that, it won't soggy up. Now what I need to do is cut some pieces that'll connect them up. And I'm also going to cut a couple of pieces like this. This one's not cut yet, but I'm going to be putting them in between, so that way when the wood comes across, it's going to have something here to lean against. And I'll just be screwing these in. I'm going to cut these at a little bit of an angle. Alrighty, so here we are. I finally finished up. I got one piece left, which is always better to have leftover wood than to be short wood and you have to go back to the store to get some. And in reality, the only reason why I have a little bit left over is because I was going to build a bunch of little crossover connectors, but the wife said that it should be fine there. The wood will not, it won't tip over. It won't tip over. And so I just used my little spare boards here to, and I just bolted those on. So basically it's just a little counterweight. It'll work good enough. And over here I just did those good. They're just screwed in on the sides over here, just to hold it like a little, it won't move out. Now these ones with my miter saw, I was able to get a couple of angles. So this one worked great, but because that was a 45. But this one was horrible. I could not get a 45 on it. Probably could have if I would have gone a little shorter. But I wanted to make sure that it doesn't tip over. Like I said, when the wood's going to be going this way, and I want to make sure that if anybody steps on this corner or we put anything heavy, that it won't break off. Because this is a good piece right there. It's at about a foot. 16 inches, so I wanted to make sure that it just doesn't tip, so that'll definitely hold it. And I did some Jimmy rig screwing up in there. Same thing over here. I just screwed it on this side just to hit it and hold it. As long as it holds in place, it doesn't really have to be load bearing, but as long as it holds in place, that's what's most important. And then I did this one too, and this is just like I said, so that way the wood has a piece to hold on to at the very back end. So that's it. This is possibly the most tedious part about building a deck or any kind of deck, is first figuring out the design you're going to want, and then going back and trying to figure it all out how you're going to want it. So here we go. Put the fisheye on it, so it's going to go back in there, so that way we can put the barbecue grill back there. Maybe the wife could put some plants back there. And I'm thinking about putting a little privacy fence. I mean, we kind of have a little privacy thing going on right here, but just on this backside to give it a little bit of accent, so that way it's all wood back here. I might just have to cut. The hard part will be, cutting the little roundabouts over there, the little pieces, so that way they mesh up nice. So basically, like right here, get a long board, a 14-footer, and then right as it butts up at the end, I'm gonna have to slice a little bit, figure out what the angle is, and then cut it. I don't think it's gonna have to be perfect, but as long as it's good enough. And I'm not worried about screwing it down to that end board. As long as I screw it down to this board, I'm fine with it. As that doesn't screw down, it's fine as long as it's sitting on top of it. That's what's most important to me. Only reason why, because it's closer to the edge. But I might screw it down, just depends if I have some leftover screws. This is fun woodworking. I'm not a professional carpenter whatsoever. A bunch of YouTube videos is how I do it. So just for fun. And like I said, the wife wanted this little project, so hopefully I'll get it done and she'll be happy. And you know, happy wife, happy life. All right, today is deck day. Well, top deck part. So we're going to be putting on the wood for the deck. Going to be start slapping this down while it's finishing up the tape. I'm going to start off on this end, keeping them tight as we go all the way down. Here's another little tip. When you're going to drill here at the edge, they've always said that if you're going to be an inch over or an inch or under, that you should drill the hole. Only reason why is so that way, because sometimes there's so much pressure in there that it actually will crack it here. So by drilling it, you actually make a little hole and you alleviate that pressure. It still hold the wood nice and tight. So far we got a couple of boards set up, and I have the wife using this board right here as a lever. So to keep it nice and tight, basically, I'll screw one in right here on this side, and then we'll go down the whole way, and just she'll be pushing it on this side, you know, pushing it nice and tight using the lever, and then I'll go ahead and screw it back down. So it's a good way to keep it tight as best you can, because sometimes this wood is not perfect and there is a little bit of a bow in it, you know, just a little bit. So this will straighten it out. So if you can see, this one's got a little bit of a bow towards the end right there, and we'll just keep it tight, or as tight as we can. You know, it can't be perfect. Note, I'll go and I'll screw one screw here, just so that way it gives me enough wiggle room. So I'm tightening it up. If I screw both of them down, then I'm locked in pretty much. So as you see, you can see the gap now over there on that side. And then I'll try to just go down and just only screw it in on just the left side, just to bolt it down as I go all the way down, and just to like every other joist. Also, another good rule to do every once in a while is, as you're laying your boards down, it's good to go to the edge and take a measurement from over there straight to where you're somewhat at. I'm gonna go off this measurement here because this one's not screwed down yet. So I'm like at 105, 104 and a quarter. And what we're gonna do is get a measurement over here. Corner to corner. So, like I said, this one's not screwed down. So we're at 104 and a half. So basically what that tells me is that I'm twisting a little bit. Now this gives you an opportunity here before you get all the way to the back to correct it. So like I said, right here at 104 and a half, 104 and was that 104 and a quarter, I guess. So what you can do is try to leave like a little tiny gap on whichever side is the one that is longer. I mean, not a whole quarter-inch gap, you know, but you can correct it as you're going with the other wood as you're going down. Reality at this point, it's kind of hard for me to tell. I mean, I could tell that I'm a little bit off on a quarter, 100 and a half, so I'm a quarter-inch off. So reality is that I'm probably not going to have to start correcting it till I get to the long pieces over here, because, you know, a quarter of an inch is not that much, and that's just a tiny little piece of a gap that I could leave, or I could even just leave it at the very end. It doesn't really matter, but that's what you call it. That comes from Deck Building 101. I had to do that with my deck over there, and I would just leave a gap enough here and there till it came out straight. Okay, so when you see yourself up against a corner like that and you want to cut it correctly, found a pretty cool trick on YouTube. Showed a guy how he did it. Basically, what he did is he put a long piece, or he put the piece he's going to cut, which is this one, butted it up, and he put another little short piece next to it, right? And all he did was just put a little line here, and all he's got to do, and then you just draw the line from corner to corner, and then all you have to do is just cut it, and it should butt up nice and neat. Like a glove. Worked out perfectly. Right up against the wall. I'll be able to even screw it in there at the very back end.